It is the end of 2017, which means recap video time, and this one is my best and worst travel moments of 2017, where I go through some of the best and worst things that happened during this year of travel. Let's get started. Best. Traveling with Matt this year has been such a treat for many different reasons. One, it's just so nice to have someone else with you to travel and share this with. I've been traveling solo for so long, so it's been really nice. And also just the quality of the vlogs, as you guys have seen, has just skyrocketed this year. Having Matt do all the cinematography, the B-roll, has really freed up me to be able to do more in-depth talking bits, give you more information, and then just putting it all together just creates for much better quality videos, and I hope you guys have been enjoying that. Worst. And when we were traveling in January in Slovenia, we had about a 3-4 hour drive to get from Lake Bled to Bergamo, Italy, and there was a huge snowstorm that happened. So the major highways were closed. Google started redirecting us to all of these different alternative routes that would get us to Bergamo. Little did we know though that the alternative routes that Google was choosing were windy mountainside roads and nobody else was on it. So we started driving for a couple hours up these windy mountain hillside roads, and of course we got stuck because we didn't have any proper chains or even good snow tires. I think we had at least some sort of snow tire. We had to get out. It was the middle of the night. We had to get out of the van and start pushing it, shoveling the snow, and there was nobody else on the road. There was nobody else around us, and we didn't know where we were going. Eventually, we did end up getting the van turned around. We backtracked all the way back to the city. Whole trip, what was supposed to be about a 3 to 4 hour long trip, took us 12 hours, and we didn't get to Bergamo till like 3 in the morning. Best. Damanhur. Now, I didn't really know too much about Damanhur before we were going there. Laura from LTA kind of organized it for us as a group, but it was a spiritual community in the hillside of Italy past Turin area. And this community opened up their doors to us to showcase a bunch of video bloggers around and to tell their message of how they live and eco-friendly building and houses and community living. And there was this one moment when we were in the Labyrinth, which was one of their underground temples in the mountainside, and they showed us a hidden section that was still being worked on, but we got to get a sneak preview of it. Now, we weren't allowed to take any cameras in or take any photos, etc. We had to just view with our eyes, but halls of these murals of every single god and deity and spiritual figure in the world all together painted up on the ceilings, and it was just so beautiful. And when we got out of it, the ladies that were showing us around, they started crying, and then we started crying, and then everyone started hugging together, and there was just this like really special moment. Worst. Not buying tickets to the Armory in Moscow. Now, we were traveling in Moscow in the peak of summer, which as an experienced travel blogger, you'd think I would know better, but clearly I didn't. So you have to buy the tickets to see in the Kremlin in different parts. And the Armory is one of the most elaborate museums in the world that's in the Kremlin. Unfortunately, we couldn't get tickets to go see it because they were all sold out for the dates that we were in Moscow. Now, of course, if we booked it beforehand, we would have been able to do that. Now, it was kind of like a rookie travel mistake that I just went, oh, come on, Nadine. So that kind of sucked. Best. Helicoptering over BC. Now, I grew up in BC, both Matt grew up in BC, and so it's a very special place for us. Obviously, it's our home. And Misha, who is another YouTuber, invited us to go up on a helicopter ride over the BC mountains, the West Coast mountains. So obviously we said yes, and it was so cool. I mean, I've been up in a helicopter before, but not for this long. And we just stopped off on a glacier, and then we were running around, and we got to see just such a different perspective of BC, a different perspective of like where we grew up, which is a really unique experience. Worst. Canoeing for 7 hours. Now, the original plan for Wells Gray Park when we decided to do an overnight camping and canoeing trip was we would canoe, camp, canoe back. We didn't fully plan out how much canoeing that was involved, and also it'd been a while since we canoed, especially for me. So it ended up being about 3 to 4 hours of canoeing each way, which is a lot of canoeing if you're not used to canoeing. And we were filming and planning on camping, and we were sightseeing all the waterfalls in Wells Gray before then, so it just ended up being really exhausting, and I got blisters on my hands. Best, Russia with my dad. So in Hungary, Finland, and Russia, my dad was also traveling alongside with me and Matt. Now you guys don't know this because he was never in any of the video footage because he doesn't like being on camera, and I respect that. But anytime I get to travel with my dad is always just a really awesome, really heartfelt, cool trip. An experience that like I get to share what I do and my world with him. And he really wanted to go see Budapest, he really wanted to see Russia. He studied Russian when he was in school, so that was a really cool trip, and it was a really special trip for us in that sense as well. Worst, the lack of vegan food in Asturias region. Now normally when I'm traveling, there really isn't that much of an issue finding food or vegan food, but we were like visiting small seaside villages all along the coast in Asturias, which were gorgeous and beautiful and had amazing seafood, but very little vegan options. And there were a couple times where we ended up just searching for like an hour plus just to find something that I could eat, and I would just end up with bread or french fries or like a salad that was just lettuce and tomatoes. That was it. That was all there was. So it was kind of frustrating. It wasn't like a full worst, but we ended up just going to the grocery store and making a bunch of sandwiches, and we ate sandwiches for several different meals when we were in Asturias, because that was the only option that I had. Best, our 30th birthday in Greece. This was a trip that we took with our two best friends, Amanda and Ian, and we were all celebrating turning 30. Yes, I am 30 years old now. And it was just like a really cool trip that we got to spend a lot of time together and doing a lot of cool activities and things to see, and just celebrating like heading into another decade, because it's literally another decade. Worst, like the worst one. Matt slicing open his leg on the top of the mountain in Zermatt. So we were in Switzerland at the top of the mountain, and Matt was filming me following in front with the camera behind, and there were these long metal poles sticking out of the ground they didn't see, and it was kind of like a freak accident, but he sliced open his leg on the wing nut of the pole, and it actually cut really deep, a lot more deeper than we were expecting. And there was like this huge confusion of what was happening. He was bleeding and he needed to go to the hospital, the clinic. Like, it definitely needed stitches. So the lady at the top called a helicopter to come get him up, because we were literally, again, at the top of a mountain. But Matt was airlifted from the top of the mountain to go to the local clinic in Zermatt, because the hospital was actually quite a bit further down, because Zermatt's a little small village. Stitched him up, we put a bunch of like bandages and gauze over it, and they had to have crutches for about 2 days. It wasn't very long, just to make sure that the stitches wouldn't pull. But he was really lucky that he didn't sever any of the tendons, so it could have been a lot worse. And yeah, it was just a freak accident that Matt was like really calm about, and I was the one that was freaking out, mainly because like I never dealt with like a medical emergency before, and that was my first time I've ever had to deal with something on this scale. In the end, it was all covered, or is going to be all covered by travel insurance. We were already reimbursed for the helicopter ride, which was $5,000, by the way. And we will be reimbursed for the clinic stay, even though we're still waiting on that. But the insurance company was like really helpful, and yeah, just get travel insurance. Honestly, it pays off, because freak accidents like this happen. It was a total freak accident. Best. So Asturias was kind of a last minute decision, where we were in London and we had a couple days in between our next trip, and we said, hey, where can we go that would be cool? We haven't been before. And there were flights going to Oviedo in Asturias, and we said, hey, let's do that. Asturias was such a surprise. It was such a beautiful part of the world that I didn't know anything about. I didn't know anything about that, the northern part of Spain. And then Picos de Europa, amazing mountainsides that I felt like I was in Patagonia area. I felt like I was in the Alps. I didn't know Spain had such crazy mountains like Picos de Europa, which literally is called the Peaks of Europe. So worst, the windy roads on our LTA road trip. So when we went up to Lake Tahoe, we had 2 converted school buses, which was awesome because we were able to fit 14 people into both of these buses heading up there. But it also meant that we were taking these windy roads in 2 converted school buses filled with people, and it took us way longer than we thought it would to get up to Lake Tahoe. So it ended up being like 2 full days of driving to get there. We had a day there, and then it was like 2 full days of driving back, which kind of is not the most ideal situation, especially because it was like 40 degrees Celsius outside, which is like 104 Fahrenheit. It was the middle of summer in California, and it was so hot, and there was no AC, and we were in these buses, and they ended up breaking down because they were overheating. I mean, it was kind of like chaos, but it all worked out, and we had a really great time with our friends. But sometimes these things happen when you're traveling. So there you go. There was all of the best and worst things that happened to me this year. And now I am interested to hear your stories. What are some of the best and worst things that happened to you in this year of travel? Let me know down below in the comments, because I love hearing your guys' travel stories and all the things that you're getting up to. And yeah, this has been a really good year of travel. I went to a lot of places, we did a lot of videos, and I cannot wait for 2018 to bring you even more cool adventures and stuff. So thank you again for subscribing to my channel. If you aren't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go follow me on Instagram for really cool photos. And I can't wait for 2018. It's gonna be sweet, it's gonna be awesome. All right, see you guys then, there, in the future.